Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 812, NFL Season Preview. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined us with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. We've had a disrupted schedule, but I'm doing well on my end. How are you doing?
A lot of traveling. I was a little sick. I'm getting better. I've had a lot of traveling in the last week or so. I have one nice fact here for you that could be a good Jeopardy question. We took our department retreat. We went up to northern Minnesota, up to Lake Itasca. Do you know what Lake Itasca is famous for, Ed?
Northernmost lake in the United States, continental United States.
No, it is the headwaters for the Mississippi River.
Okay. All right.
So it's the starting point for the Mississippi. So it's kind of cool. We got to go and see like where the actual definition is of the start of the Mississippi. Yeah, and that was kind of cool. And I came out looking pretty good from this retreat, Eddie, because we had a faculty versus students sporting game that they play every year. And normally it's kickball, but unfortunately they didn't bring a kickball or bases. So instead, they did have soccer nets and we had a soccer match.
Okay. And you did well.
I put myself in goal. I said, guys,
dear.
I cannot play out, but I'll stand in goal and I'll do whatever it takes.
Oh boy.
We won the game 8-5. I had about 12 saves.
Okay, but 8-5. Not that you didn't do that well.
Well, let me put it this way. I didn't have much defense. I had a lot of shots on goal. But by the end of the match, most faculty were like, man, Frank, did you play goalie? I was like,
this doesn't make me feel good about the overall standard of that game.
I played once in a tournament, and then other than that, I would play on the 5-a-side indoor where I would just stand in front and take shots to the face.
Yeah, because the tournament that you and I played in did not go particularly well for you.
No, it did not go great.
But yeah, the kickball, as you know, I'm still adamant. I might be the best kickball player in the world. Like, you know, I still see that scene, and this is going to help us transition into college football. I see that scene from Friday Night Lights, where who's the college football coach Mike Leach, who died, where he's talking to main character, head coach, and he's telling him to swing your sword. Coach Taylor, he's telling him to swing your sword, be a pirate, like embrace the stuff. And he tells him, you might be the luckiest man on earth and you don't even know it. I might be the best kickball player on earth and I don't even know it. I'm not ruling it out. Like this.
Yeah, we did not play kickball though, but maybe when you come visit, I'll see if we can get you on a kickball team.
Every time I watch a video, like there's an Instagram video that comes across for me or a YouTube video that comes across for me of kickball, and I don't understand how. I mean, I don't know what a good kickball player does. Does a good kickball player just never get out? Because if that's the case, I think I can bat 1,000 in kickball.
You know, well, the problem with kickball is, and it's different for you, but most people who play kickball always think that they're just going to outkick the outfielders, and they end up just flying out 90% of the time. Like, my main rule on kickball is if you are not from Europe, if you're legitimately not coming from Europe, I want you kicking the ball on the ground every single kick. Just kick it on the ground, get a single. The only time I let people swing for the fences is if they told me they're from like England or like Spain and they played football growing up or rugby growing up. Then I'll tell them kick away. That's the only legitimate chance.
But this is my point. So I've got hit the ceiling leg strength. So I feel like anyway, I'm kicking home runs. But even if I wanted to go conservative, just the idea of piercing the infield, and that doesn't feel hard to me.
It's not.
The only time I ever feel like it might be challenging, because I do get videos. I know we've spoken about my Instagram algorithm quite a lot, and I do get a few videos of people playing. It's like Long Beach kickball, and there's guys who are throwing curveballs, and it's on the beach. So then there's a little bit of movement on the pitch, and you can kind of screw with people. I get that's a little bit harder, that at least the ball is moving a bit. I still feel confident that I could slam it through the infield, but like on an actual, if we're just going to a baseball, softball diamond and that's where we're playing, I don't care how much swerve you're putting on a pitch. I can hit it between second base and like a shortstop and third base, like no problem.
We'll have to see if I can sign you up next time you're in Minnesota for a little open kickball game.
I might never leave. That might just
speaking of, because I'm sure my father will love this, that you're the best kickball player ever. He did want me to tell you that he at least agrees with you on one thing, that no fucking infant should be in first class.
There we go. Yeah, we got a lot of backlash on that though.
But we got one supporter.
Yeah. That's the only positive comment we've received on that front. Got a lot of hate Twitter-wise. We've not done well on that, and we've got a lot of hate. Not hate, but we've got even from the people we know who listen to it, which again,
pushback.
I like. It's actually, we've weeded out the people who listen to this podcast, who you and I are friends with. I've discovered new listeners through a controversial opinion. So that's actually kind of nice. But yeah, it's turns out our opinions as two childless men, turns out a lot of people don't want us to tell them how to deal with their kids.
Yeah. I guess speaking real quick of flying, I was on a plane. Delta recently added season 1 of Friday Night Lights back on their little TV.
Oh, Mike
Lynch instantly went to it. Instantly went to episode 1. One of the greatest pilots in television history. It's so good.
So they only have season 1 though.
It probably only like 6 episodes even of season 1.
Because I mean, I'm approaching. So as you know, when we alluded to it in a previous episode, I've got the travel coming up for the Breeders' Cup, which is we're flying straight to LAX. So it's an 11
hours.
12 hours.
12.
Basically.
Actually, it's like on the way there.
It's 11:45. Like
yeah.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's like 5 movies.
The only thing you could say is, do you just get deep into a TV show?
You can do a whole season. The issue is with those flights, though, like they only put the first few episodes up. Because I did that when I traveled to London for Lioness, the Paramount show with I forgot her name, but it was like a pretty good show, the Lioness show. But I started it and then got through the first 3, and then that was it, and I got really, really pissed off because I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You might have to download on your phone, but that's psychotic to you.
Yes, no chance. And also on top of this, I will be sitting near someone I'm traveling with, so there's 0 chance I would get on my phone. And as you know, I like speaking to people on flights, so this opens up. I'm very happy, obviously, to have a conversation with a person I know. And we are we have done the asshole thing. We are in a 3-seater. There is a gap. I am in the aisle.
It'll fill. It always fills.
It will fill for sure. And in which case,
are you going to be nice and ask that person if they'd like to take the aisle and you'll move?
Either one.
No, that person you think the person? Oh, I know who it is. I thought it was someone else. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no,
so
either
one of you will be willing to move into the middle to give that person either the window or the aisle.
If their preference is, yes, they get the choice then of aisle or window. And I think here it feels slightly different. I understand I'm hypocritical. I think this is a little different because we're not a couple. We are 2 separate people.
You could tell them you are.
Yes, but we're 2 separate people, and we booked with 2 separate reservations. and we are not like trying to totally screw the system. And so we will happily move either way to accommodate the person in the middle. I have
What
to
you
try and
could
think,
do, you
but
could combine. Go ahead.
I'm opening this up to our listeners. Again, opportunity to follow the Big Chill podcast on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm looking in hard at games I can play on a 12-hour flight to engage. And I don't just want card games. I want like an actual suggestion of something that makes sense to, can I kill 3 hours with a game?
Oh, I mean, like maybe Risk. Why don't you guys pull out Risk?
Just a full game of Risk.
Yeah.
Former co-host Sam.
Wait, you're premium economy, right?
No, we're just full economy.
They might not have the literal room to put the board out.
No, we're in the emergency exit. I don't know if they'll approve of us playing Risk in the emergency exit. Like, as the plane goes down, can disturb my invasion of the Caucasus. But, like, that's the only, there's a certain space consideration for sure. But former co-host Sam, he and I used to have games of Risk that lasted 2 or 3 weeks.
Now, what if you don't finish? Do you try and carry it out of the plane, like as it is, like they do in Seinfeld?
So we used to take photos, like legitimately.
That's a good idea.
We used to play games of Risk when we were in university, and so we would have people come over. Sam and I lived together, and there were 2 or 3 other people who would come over, and we would play Risk. And it would take us like 4 solid nights in order to complete a game of Risk. And it got quite intense and quite heated. And at the end of a night, we would take a photo of the board. And then, 4 nights later when we were playing, we would come back and resume from that starting position. So,
well, I mean, theoretically, you'd have Wi-Fi. You could do like Risk on your phones.
Oh, Risk as a board game, it's never been good. I've played Risk. It's not good. It's not good. But I'm very open to suggestions of games that could last. If you can get me through 4 hours, that would be.
I think you guys should do like watch an episode of Friday Night Lights and then live discuss podcast about it, and then watch another episode and then live discuss podcast about it.
Because you're and I think we spoke about it on the podcast a year ago, but you're obviously on the group chat. A year ago when I flew, there was a guy who FaceTimed as we took off and then as we were on the flight. And that was the joke that was made by Olivier in our group chat of, we could test the Wi-Fi out and FaceTime, and we could FaceTime to each other. We could just record a podcast from the plane. That
would be great.
Yeah. See how long it takes.
Really up how much of a travel podcast we are.
Yeah. At which point do they shut us down as I'm just recording an episode mid-flight? But
I want you to take out like all the equipment, take out like a whole boom like stand for the mic, set the mic up in the aisle, try and set up like a webcam hooked up to the air chute on the top.
See, I actually think if you go that far, people wouldn't stop you. I think that most people would assume that you had been given permission and that this was an organized, that like Air France has told these people this is a thing that they're doing. If you brought that amount of equipment, I think they would assume this was an official thing. And
we've got a permit.
Even to the flight crew, if they tried to shut it down and you had the confidence to say, Delta's told us to do this. Like, this is a Delta sanctioned podcast.
Delta sanctioned.
I think you get away with it. I'm not going to try this. I'm not going to test this, but I do think if you just acted with full confidence, you would get away with it for sure.
Hey, it might be worth trying.
Now, speaking of people who did not get away with just
real quick. Hold on, real quick. A week after that, you and I will actually be on a plane together and potentially, as of right now, sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
What would their ruling be if we pulled out microphones and recorded a podcast, because how is it different than you and I talking to each other just with mics in front of us? We could legitimately do an in-air podcast. I kind of would like to try this. It would be so funny. Everyone would be looking at us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would hate us.
But how is it different than you and I talking to each other?
All right, we can give it a
literally
go.
with a mic.
No, it is true. It is legitimately true. If you're just standing next to each other or sitting next to each other and you are no louder than you would be in a normal conversation, we're just holding microphones that are allowed to. All right, let's give it a go. Let's record an episode mid-flight.
I was going to upgrade to first class, but I will not if we get to do this.
A special first class upgrade on that 3-hour domestic flight.
You get a free food.
Yeah. I got to say, too, those upgrades, and I don't fly domestically in the U.S., obviously, that much. And I understand the U.S. is big. So I was speaking actually with Olivier about this the other day, which you can kind of lose perspective because you can start to think about, well, if I flew from Paris to Berlin and, flying from San Diego, which from Minnesota to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis, the flight that we're doing, it's further than most flights you would take in Europe. It's a sizable
it's like a
distance.
3.5-hour flight.
However, the cost of flights, domestic flights in the U.S., is outrageous, and the cost of upgrades within flights in the U.S. The fact that I have paid for Delta Comfort, I think it's called, which is
Comfort Plus,
which is the, aside from first class, it's the second highest tier on that flight, and has 0 checked bags. That is just outrageous to me. The fact
that I've got 3. You're good.
No, it's okay. But the fact that aside from having a credit card that allows you to check a bag, or you fly enough and you can check a bag, the idea that you would pay for the second highest tier and they would say, sorry, 0 checked bags for free. To me, that blows my mind. What is Delta doing? Or I'm presuming United or American would be the same. But what are you doing as airlines? Allow people to check a bag. It's normal. Encourage people to not, because it's more efficient. And I get that we have this obsession nowadays when people talk about traveling of, I don't check a bag. This is a point of pride for people of, I never check a bag. It's guys, it takes.
I'm opposite.
It doesn't take that long.
My point of pride is I check a bag.
But on a domestic flight, it doesn't add that much to your experience. You know what I mean? These people who think as if they're saving 5 hours by never checking a bag. Yeah. You're not. You're saving yourself maybe 45 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a huge
Most airports,
deal.
You have to walk so far, but by the time you get to baggage claim, your bags are already coming out.
Yeah. You're watching them. You're watching everyone else. You're watching everyone else on your flight pick up their bags on a domestic flight. And you're like, oh, saved myself time. Turns out I only have 1 pair of underwear, but that's okay. At least I didn't have to wait an extra 35 seconds for my bag.
Exactly.
But speaking of people who needed multiple pairs of underwear the last weekend, we obviously spoke about college football. Week 1 kicking off.
Yes.
The big game was Ohio State, Texas. I had mentioned that experts had feared that Texas would blow out Ohio State, that this overpowered offense and this superpowered defense would be too much for Ohio State to handle. And then in the end, Ohio State won 14-7. So just
in a game that score doesn't actually do it justice.
No. Yeah. Actually, Texas having 0 points would have probably been fair. I was out at a bar in Paris that did not have this game on at the time it was on, so I was following it on my phone, and at no point felt confident based on just the ESPN app updates of what was happening, that Texas was going to get back into the game, which it says a lot that as you're just kind of dealing with play-by-play updates, that you think, oh, this team is fucked. And then went home and I've literally rewatched the entire game.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched the full game. Not a great look for Manning. Not a great look for Texas.
No, I have to say, we watched it live. It was, at no point did it look like Manning was suddenly going to kind of turn it around, where it's like, oh, he's had a bad first quarter, but like he's going to settle in. He never settled in. And even in the fourth quarter, it was like, now he's got the ball. He's got a chance to tie this up. Like, let's see if, maybe he was slow to start, but he's actually like a gamer. Like, put him in a high pressure end of game situation. He's going to shine. Did not shine. And in fact, he actually had another interception that was called back, luckily. Otherwise, he really would have had two terrible picks, and they wouldn't even. Probably would have been 21-0 at that point. But he kind of got lucky that one interception got overturned. But it did not look good. And yes, it's the first game, and it's a very big game, and he's still young. But for someone who had that much hype coming in on a team where it was, how are they ever going to lose? They're so good. They're bringing back so much talent, and Manning is going to be the next great quarterback. It was a terrible look. We were at a party afterwards, and the entire talk of the party, because it was a lot of people from New Jersey and Giant fans, at least, I'm not joking, at least a dozen people came up and said, hey, good thing we drafted Dart, because Manning looks like he's going to be a dud. Like, good thing we didn't wait on Manning. Good thing we didn't think Arch was going to be the next Eli. Like, every person just roasted Arch Manning at a random party that he had no affiliation to, except that they're Giants fans and love Eli Manning.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing. And we famously, right, are not an overreaction podcast. So you don't want to overreact to week 1 of college football because, look, end of season, Texas might win the national championship, and that's just the blip on the kind of resume of Arch Manning in this season. And then everyone can dismiss it as first real start in a game against defending national champions on the road. Like, it's understandable that he had some nerves and didn't play that well. I think the tough thing is watching it, benefiting from following the game on my phone and just seeing play-by-play updates, and then watching the full game in review. The number of open receivers that he just doesn't throw to is shocking. And then even when he is throwing to them, the number of receivers who he underthrows or throws behind them. Oof. Like, there's so many plays where you think, actually, I think a good quarterback, like, we can add another 150 yards onto this game and like maybe still Texas loses. Like, I'm not trying to make it out but realistically, there's so many plays where you just think, I get it. We're getting bird's eye view. It's always one of those things. So when you see a receiver open on the opposite side of the field, if you're a quarterback and that's that's your fourth read and you're starting to get pressure, you're not going to see that they're open. I understand. It's so simple from when you watch it on TV. But at the same time, there's a number of instances where you go, I think he should have seen that guy was wide open. And instead, he's just held onto the ball. And what worries me about him is you came out of that game feeling like he had the sort of happy feet, which is always a bad sign. Like when people get into the NFL, where he's starting to move before even the pressure is there. Like and he's reasonably athletic. So there's a couple times where he actually makes plays. But there was moments where you're like, you actually have a lot of time to make a throw, and you've started to sort of feel pressure and react badly. in situations where actually you had another second and a half, and if you just stayed calm, you would have had a 9-yard completion. And instead you've scrambled for a 2-yard game. And that like isn't a great sign for you. And then as the game just gets faster and faster, and as you then go to the NFL, the chances of those happy feet hurting you are just greater and greater. Like that's one of the big differences.
Yeah. And again, it is early. We won't overreact. And keep in mind, he's playing probably one of the best NFL style defenses in college football, both in terms of scheme and players. And they're playing in Ohio, which is a very difficult place to play on the road. But at the end of the day, if you think he's going to be a great NFL QB, these are the games against NFL caliber defenses that he has to at least be reasonably good in. And that was not even close to reasonably good. So yeah, to be determined how much they recover from that. But I'm sure they'll kind of glide into some easier games and pick up steam.
I mean, they were favorites to win the title. They're now 4th favorites.
Yeah, I think they dropped to 6th or 7th on the
yeah. So they're rankings. Number 1, obviously going into it against Ohio State. Were ranked 3rd going into it. I mean, preseason rankings. Who knows what any of that means? But Ohio State are now favorites to win the national championship. Again, maybe that's an overreaction. You have Penn State 2nd favorites.
Yeah, they're staying steady.
Georgia 3rd favorites. Texas are now 4th favorites. LSU, Oregon, Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama. I mean, Alabama I will also say I got home in time to watch the Alabama game. Oof. And Alabama are now 8th favorites to win the national title, although they're tied 6th favorites with Notre Dame and Clemson. If Alabama wins, they're 14-1. If Alabama wins the national championship, I'll eat everything anyone wants to send me. If you want to send me your own shit, your hat,
bag of
whatever it is, I'll eat it. Like that was such a bad performance.
Yeah,
and
that was rough.
I got suckered in to it was halftime and Alabama were 5-4 to win the game against Florida State. And I thought to myself, do you know what? History tells me in college football, the team only down by, I think they were down by 10 points at that point. They win by 15. Let me just bet on this. And at no point did I ever feel good about my decision. I regretted that for the remainder of that second half. It was just awful.
Well, you should have, Eddie, listened to Lee Corso, who had his farewell college game day. They did a big tribute to him. He wore a tuxedo, which actually I thought was kind of funny. But he had his 6 picks, and his 6 picks went 6 for 6, and impressive because it was Ohio State over Texas, Tennessee, which is a heavy favorite, Florida State over Alabama, LSU over Clemson, which was another underdog, South Carolina, which was a favorite, and Miami over Notre Dame, which was an underdog. So he correctly picked all 3 of those major top 10 games where the underdog won each time, although Ohio State ended up being the favorite at the beginning of the day, but were the underdog for most going into the week. Picked all 3 of those correctly. And that, if you parlayed that, would have been 88-1.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I hadn't felt like he was dying mid-broadcast, then I might have put more credence into the picks that he made. The Ohio State-Texas one, fair enough. I mean, I think there was a certain obligation that there was a lot of fanfare for him surrounding.
To put on the Buckeye, because that was the first thing he ever put on was the Buckeye.
Yeah. And they brought out the cake, and then you had them bringing out his ceremonial helmet with this is we've put a sticker on for every time you've picked Ohio State successfully. If you want to pick them one more time, here's the sticker. There's a lot of reasons there where you might not. But he got a lot of heat when he made the original Florida State pick. And turns out he was right. I think he was nostalgically picking things. I don't think I don't think it actually was reflective of his belief as to what would happen. But yeah, good for him going 6 for 6, signing off with that. It did feel like he was going to die mid broadcast. So
Eddie, that's been the last 3 years. I've been saying that to you.
It was bad though. It was bad. The only thing worse, and I'm so happy, and I'm very happy that I get to say this now. We've had the backlash of the two of us being non-parents and the hating on kids. And I know this sensitive subject for you, given recent circumstances.
You more than me.
Well, I don't know about that. Sensitive subject for you, I know a bit, given recent circumstances. However, I'm very happy that I get to say this as a current dog owner. But Kirk Herbstreit with his dog just fucking pisses me off. that his dog has to be front and center of everything that happens. And the fact that his one dog died and he instantly replaced it with another dog.
That looks identical.
Oh, yes. Makes it so bad, where it's so performative. And I love that actually the tide appears to have turned from people who are just like, I love dogs, therefore I must love the fact that a dog is on TV, to now, oh, actually, do you know what? This is kind of annoying that this guy is just bringing his dog along, and his dog took a shit right before that guy attempted
kicked it, and they stepped in it.
Yeah.
The guy won $250,000 on a kick and then stepped in Kirk Herbstreit's dog shit.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that then saved him is they then did the thing on the Monday night game, the TCU UNC game, which was a blowout. And then they put the headset on his dog.
Yeah, that's great.
Fair enough. That's kind of amusing, but just him, like, how
what
much
was weird
using his dog?
When you're watching the game day and they're all on the booth just like discussing things, the dog is just walking around the booth.
Around.
And it's like Kirk Herbstreit is like trying to wrangle this dog while he's trying to be on live TV speaking. It's very distracting. If I were a panelist, I'd be like, dude, like, we're on fucking television. Talk to me. Don't try and like wrangle your dog to sit down. Like, just give it to someone for 3 hours. Put it in the trailer for 3 hours. Like, it'll take a nap.
Yes.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then if you like, even if you want to do the broadcast thing, where like you're not on the TV for the broadcast and it can just sit there, that's fine. But like when you're actively on TV and everyone can see the dog disturbing the other people, it's kind of annoying.
And that's my issue. Is his argument is that he had anxiety and stress and the dog, and that like traveling every weekend away from his family was tough, and that's when he started to bring his dog with him that fixed everything. Okay, yeah. I get it. You're lonely, and it's nice to have this sort of creature comfort that comes with you, and you know, people love their dogs, and it's a nice thing. But again, you could have that without your dog ever appearing on live TV. Your dog could my dog travels with me, and that could be the story. ESPN could do a feature of, do you actually know, back in his trailer, his dog is there, and his dog flies with him everywhere, and his dog is always there. And then he goes live and he's fine. But he's been on TV for 30 years. And the actually, because we had to go through the sort of coverage of all of Lee Corso's picks over the years, you get to see just how long he's been there with him, which is actually kind of shocking because he doesn't look as old as you think he is, if you see what I mean. Like, he looks actually quite young. And so then when it's like pretty surprising to be like, oh, 30 years ago, he was also still there when he first put Ohio State's like mascot's head on him. You just have your dog. If the dog is there as your anxiety relief, but you were fine in 1998 without your dog. Why does your dog now need to be on set with you? They
didn't travel as much.
And also, if you really care about dogs, probably not a great experience for your dog to just throw it out amongst 10,000 drunk college kids to wander about
well,
while
it's
they
on the set.
Yeah, but when the field goal is being kicked, that's just drunk college kids shouting at your dog as it wanders around, and it's just like trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, no, it's great. It reassures him. It soothes his anxiety. Yeah, what about the dog? What about just the PTSD this dog is going to get from the fact, like, no surprise, it's taking a shit in the middle of the earth. Like, I'm surprised it's not just actually just taking a shit everywhere.
Speaking of how old Herbstreit is, this is a fact I saw today. Someone who was born when Appalachian State beat Michigan in that season opener, remember that? They'd be 18 years old today.
That's
crazy.
I guess it is crazy. At the same time, though, that had, like, Manningham was in that game, right? Like, you have people who I can.
Yeah, it had to be like 2000. I was in college. I remember being
2006.
in college for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it makes sense.
It's crazy that that's that long ago, because I can still kind of remember that as being like one of the first big major upsets in college that I saw.
Yeah. I mean, look, what can I speak about upsets? Because as I messaged you privately on Friday night, it's like, oh, great, college football's back. I can start throwing that into my bets. And I put Army, who were 1-6 moneyline favorites, into my bet on Friday. And then they lost to Tarleton State, which I'd never even fucking heard of. And I promise you, and I did not pay attention to that game until the second half, because Army actually went up 24-7 or whatever it was. It looked super comfortable. You put a 1-6 bet into you throw that in, and I literally only put them in because it's like, it's Army. They do win most of their games. They're 1-6. I will not regret this decision. And then all of a sudden it became a close game in the second half, and I turned it on. And then I just had to watch a bet lose to a school I'd never heard of.
This is why you can't bet shit college teams.
Yeah, this Army. I mean, they're still.
They're not that good.
No, they're not that good. But I mean, we still need to review the state of the U. I mean, China, North Korea, and Russia are currently meeting up to show off military strength. Meanwhile, Army in the U.S. is losing to Tarleton State. That's like, we need to maybe consider how the U.S. is showing off its military force. It's a slight concern.
All right, let's get on to our NFL preview.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Are we starting NFC or AFC?
Well, I'm just going to start with this fact. Since 2002, just over 44% of division winners have won their division again the following season. However, last year, 6 out of 8 division winners won from 2023 to 2024. And since 2002, just over 60% of teams that won their division made it back to the postseason at all the following season. So what that means, Eddie, is that a lot of teams that made the playoffs last year might not be making it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that will happen less and less. And I think most of the teams that won their division last year will win their divisions. Not to preempt my predictions, but I think most of them will win their division this year.
Okay, so let's then start with the NFC. Okay, what division do you want to start with? NFC East, reigning champs, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's start with the NFC East, seeing as they kick off the season as well.
Okay. So you have the Eagles, the Giants, the Commanders. Am I forgetting here? Did I say them all?
The Cowboys.
Cowboys. There we go. I thought in my mind I said Cowboys.
Easily forgettable, seeing some of the moves they've made this offseason. But yeah, it's and also obviously Eagles, Cowboys kicking off the actual season. So difficult one to forget.
So where do you stand on this division?
I think it's hard to look past the Eagles just retaining the division. I don't think the Eagles, again, spoiler, I do not think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. As confident as I was former listeners of the podcast or long-term listeners of the podcast will know, I was very confident about the Eagles heading into last season's playoffs, heading into the Super Bowl. I think I don't think they're much weaker than they were. However, there's some sort of losses within their team that means they're not quite as strong as they were, kind of going into the season. But realistically, I don't think the Commanders are looking quite as good. I think the Commanders overperformed how talented they are last season. And so you can expect a degree of a kind of sophomore slump from Jaden Daniels and the rest of the team. I think the Cowboys basically are intentionally tanking this season now on the back of the Parsons trade. Like, it's difficult to be optimistic about them. And then I know you're super optimistic about the Giants based on what they did preseason, but realistically, I don't think they're serious contenders. So the Eagles will win this division. Like, I'd be super stunned if they didn't.
Yeah. So Eagles have 76% chance to make the playoffs, 56% chance to win the division. They are pretty odds on to win the division. They do have the fourth hardest schedule. And the interesting thing is, offensively, they're returning 10 of 11 starters. So I think offense, they're going to be fine. They're just going to keep clicking like they do, and they're going to keep scoring a ton of points. The problem is, defensively, 44% of the defensive snaps from last year were players who aren't on this roster. So they did lose a decent amount on defense. Their secondary is a little shakier than it used to be. So that's could be a weak point for them, being able to throw the ball on them. But for me, I also think the Eagles are the best team in this division and will win this division. I think the Commanders get second in this division, but I agree with you. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. They got Debo, right? If you're a big Debo Samuel fan, they've added Debo. They signed McLaurin, so he's going to play. Their offense should be better, but there's just something about the fact that last year,
where's Debo been?
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Fat Debo is going to be the thing that makes a difference for this Commanders team.
But it feels like everything went right for them last year, and I think teams will start to play them a little better and play Jaden Daniels a little better. And then the other issue with that is there's always that risk of someone who runs that much to get hurt. And maybe not season-ending injuries, but missing a game here or there. You miss 4 or 5 games in a season, and when you're the best player on your team goes 0-4 to those games. And it's like the Lamar Jackson factor. When he's in, they're 70-14, and when he's out, they're 4-14.
Yeah, it's tough. I think just process of elimination means that even if you want to be a doubter, which I am, I don't think the Eagles, and it's tough because as dominant as they were in the Super Bowl, it's hard to look at a team that could have won the Super Bowl probably by 40 points, if they really wanted to. And then now to even express any sort of doubts over them winning the division. The only argument, and I hate this argument, is that no team has won the NFC East and won it again since 2004. It's such a stupid reason.
And that was the Eagles.
Yeah, it's such a stupid reason for people to pick against them. It's like, oh, no one retains the NFC East title. I just think you really look at this historically has been a division that's actually been quite tough because, we've had quite a few seasons where the Eagles and the Cowboys have been good. And now the Commanders were good last season. And then sometimes the Giants have been good. Certainly in the last 15 years, you've had moments where they have been good. I think the Eagles are the only legitimately good team in this division. I think the Commanders will be decent to good. But yeah, I it's hard to think that, I think the Eagles are winning 12 plus games, and I don't think anyone else in this division is winning that number.
So no hope for the Cowboys adding Pickens, now have CeeDee Lamb and Pickens with Dak.
I think it's so tough given the Parsons trade. So just trading away your best defensive player. I think in any sport, the moment at which you just say Parsons is arguably their most talented player, irrespective of position. And I get it. Internal reports seem to indicate that he was quite unpopular and that, the team didn't really like him, but it is still sending a message to the team of maybe our most talented player is gone. And I don't think there's a lot of sports where you do that a week before the season starts and then the team rallies around and really starts to produce some good results. And they have the perfect opportunity to prove us wrong in week 1 on the opening night. And if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, then okay, they get to sort of set the tone for their season. But if the Eagles beat them by 25 points and they've traded Parsons away, it just feels like they're punting the season. And I don't know. I don't trust Dak Prescott. I don't trust anyone else in their team. I just see no reason to believe that they're going to get that much better. They were 7-10 last year. Let's give them 3 more wins. Make them 10-7. They're not challenged.
I can't see that.
But let's just say they're 10-7.
Yeah.
They're still not challenging the Eagles for winning the division.
No. Yeah. Then lastly, like you said, the Giants. I think as a Giants fan, I am happy going into this season. I just think it looks like things are changing with the attitude and the roster, but they're still nowhere near having a complete roster to make it, even a run into the playoffs. They were 7-10 last year. I would be surprised if they get to 7 wins this year, just because they have the hardest schedule according to strength of schedule going into the season. It's just a murderer's row of like the first 5 weeks. We talked about this last podcast. It's very, very challenging for them, but I think they are on the up and up, and I would like to see Jackson Dart come in towards the end of the season, get some experience, and kind of roll into next year. But I will say they are one of those teams where it will kind of be tough to bet against them, because defensively, all that D line could turn up for a game and wreak havoc on a quarterback, and they can squeeze out a 17-14 win. But I obviously don't think they're going to be playoff contenders, but hopefully more fun to watch than last year.
Yeah, and this is kind of slightly teasing. Our next episode will be our week 1 selections, but you look at week 1 and the Commanders are 6-point favorites against the Giants. And I have to be honest, I don't really trust the Commanders to beat the Giants, even though they're one of the heaviest favorites of the week. And I love a money line accumulator or parlay, depending on where you're from. I don't feel like I can just blindly throw the Commanders in and feel good about it. Like, there's a scenario where the Giants are winning week 1, and that's making me feel way worse. I think that would just make me feel worse about the Commanders. I don't think it would significantly shift how I feel about the Giants.
Yeah. I think the Giants are just going to be a streaky team where 1 game they click, 4 games they don't, but they will be a tough out. At least I hope. Okay. So we both have the Eagles winning that division. Do you have the Commanders making the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of through process. I still think they went 12-5 last year. I think they'll probably be 11-6 this year. And I think that will be good enough.
Okay. So let's move then to the NFC South, which is probably the next weakest division, I'd say, in the NFC. And I'm saying, obviously, the Eagles are a very good Super Bowl contending team, but the rest is not so great in there. But the NFC South, you have the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bucks. The Bucks won this division last year, just edging out the Falcons in the last week, I believe that was, right? Who do you have winning division this year?
I'm going to stick with the Bucks. I do think you kind of find yourself in an interesting position where they obviously have some injuries to start the season. So that's a bit of a downer. And, I don't think they're great, but I think you can pick holes in pretty much every other team in this division. And I think it's, again, a little bit of a process of an elimination here, where aside from the Falcons, I think the Panthers are going to be bad. I think the Saints are going to be probably the worst team in the NFL. And so I'm not going to trust Michael Penix Jr. so much as to believe that he's going to make the Falcons better than the Bucs. And so I think the Bucs will get to the same. They were 10-7 last year. I think they'll get somewhere between 10 and 11 wins this year, and that will be enough to win this division.
Yeah, so I also have the Bucs winning this division. So right now they're projected 48% chance to win the division. Like you said, they went 10-7. They have a relatively easy schedule, like right in the middle. You know, I'm year by year being sold on Baker Mayfield. I've always been a Baker Mayfield fan. I've had his T-shirt since he was on Cleveland. But, he's coming off great back-to-back great seasons. He had 41 touchdown passes last year. I mean, that's impressive. And he's a gamer, and I love to watch him play. He's a fun quarterback to watch play. He does make some mistakes, but he's super competitive, and it's fun to watch. I just don't. I think they're okay, and I think they will win this division. But ultimately, I think again, this division is kind of a one and done. Maybe you get lucky in the first round of the playoffs, but I just don't. I don't think they're that great. They're not that great on defense. They don't have much of a front four, so they're probably going to let up a decent amount of points. So, but I'll have the Bucs to win, and then
I like Baker Mayfield, and yeah, he had 41 touchdowns. He also had 16 interceptions and 40 sacks. So he's fun to watch.
He's like a less good Brett Favre.
Yeah, a way less good Brett Favre. He's fun to watch, but he's not. He's probably found his level. I think over the remainder of Baker Mayfield's career, he will consistently have people tell you that he's better than he is. And I also think the narrative of the Browns gave up on him way too early, and how good could the Browns have been had they stuck with him? Yeah, are the Browns in a better position right now with Baker Mayfield starting in week 1 than Joe Flacco?
And the millions of dollars they have from Deshaun Watson.
For sure. The mistake is a Deshaun Watson element. But is the mistake giving up on Baker Mayfield? Probably not. Like he's not a difference maker. He's fun. I'd rather watch Baker Mayfield. And I think this is and we'll get onto it, with the Browns, the same is true. I'd rather watch Joe Flacco than a lot of other quarterbacks because, yeah, he might make some awful mistakes, but at least he might make some, like, it's fun and it's exciting and you never know what's going to happen every play. And that's kind of where Baker Mayfield is, but he leans towards more success than failure. But if Michael Penix Jr. turns out to be really good, then the Falcons could definitely be better than the Buccaneers this year.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the big question, right? A lot of people are picking the Falcons. Again, they went 8-9 last year with really shitty quarterback performances. Cousins was hurt. If anyone watched that Netflix documentary for season 2, they was doing pretty decent and got hurt, and then kind of going in and out of Penix and things like that. But if Penix is good, if he's 80% Jaden Daniels from last year, I think they actually do win this division. But I don't think he's going to be that good. And I like Penix. I think he was a great college QB, but he's two major knee surgeries later. He can't move like he did in college. And it's a lot to ask for a player to step in and try and win a division in his first year starting. And I honestly think the Panthers might be the dark horse in this division to win. 5-12 last year, they kind of ended looking a little better. Bryce Young maybe is an okay quarterback. They added some good receivers. They added McMillan, who was a 7th pick overall in the draft from Arizona, and then they got Thielman, right? So maybe, I don't know, but not a great division. And regardless of who wins this, I don't think they make it past the first round.
No, I think it's the worst division in the NFL. Like, I think the Saints are the worst team in football.
Yeah, and I didn't even discuss the Saints. Not worth
And the
discussing
thing
that.
is, the Saints may end up being. They may end up not having the worst record in the NFL because of how weak this division is. And so it's possible that the Saints may pick up a weird win against the Panthers or against the Falcons if Penix Jr. Isn't good. And so perhaps they end up with a better record than, say, the Browns, who we've also spoken about. But I think the Saints will be the worst team in the NFL objectively.
So we're both going the Bucs and no one else in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think the Bucs are going to do well to get to 10 wins again. So to think that anyone else can make it out of this division is wishful thinking.
So let's move then to the NFC North. And this was a very hot division last year. Looks to be just as on fire this year. You have the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. Who do you have winning this division?
Packers. This is one of the few.
Now let me ask you real quick.
But just to say, we spoke about the fact that there's so much turnover in divisional winners. This is one of, I think, only 2 divisions where I'm going to pick a repeating defending champion.
Okay. I also have the Packers winning this division. Did you have them before the Micah Parsons trade winning this division?
Yes.
I did not. For me, I think that is a big enough swing that I think it was, and it was close. I mean, they had a shot to win the division last year for a little bit, and then obviously the Vikings and Lions kind of pulled away on that. But I think adding an elite pass rusher like Parsons, when you have to play the teams like the Detroit Lions and the Vikings and the Bears, you're going to need to have a good defense and a good pressure to maybe create a turnover. You're going to need, your defense to score points, things like that. And I think Micah Parsons can really add that. So I had the Lions winning this division before, but I think I switch into the Packers with the trade.
No, for me, Packers were on an upward trend, and I think the Lions will remain good, but probably their record and their performances last year were, I think they maxed out their potential last year, and I'm expecting a slight downturn from the Lions this year. And then you kind of look at the Vikings definitely outperformed their, going 14. You looking at a vision where the Lions went 15-2, the Vikings went 14-3, the Packers went 11-6 last year. I think the Vikings are due for a major drop off. I don't really trust JJ McCarthy coming into his non-rookie season. On top of that, you have Justin Jeffries, who's injured coming into the season. So, he's missing some of the weapons that made the Vikings so good, even when they were, however you felt about their quarterback performance going into the season. And then with the Lions, you've lost coordinators. So I think from a coaching perspective, no matter how confident you are in Dan Campbell, which I think Dan Campbell's an excellent head coach, but you lost Ben Johnson and you lost Aaron Glenn. It's hard to look at a team and think that if you lose your offensive coordinator and, keep other coordinators, that it's like has zero impact on what it means for that team. And I just think the Packers were trending in the right direction anyway. And that with Love and everyone else in their team, one more season was just going to make them better. So, I felt confident anyway about the Packers.
Yeah. So for me, I think, the Lions are still stacked on offense. Their O-line, they lost a few starters, specifically their center, who's I think a 4 or 5-time Pro Bowler, retired. So that's a little bit of a loss, but you still have Gibbs and Montgomery, which I think when you have 2 great running backs is really nice, because if one's out, you can still rely on another, all-star type running back. I think Goff is still very good. Their receivers are good. And the worst thing about the Lions last year was how decimated their defense was due to injuries. So you have to figure, with their defense now healthy, then they're going to be better than they were when they ended the season, and they ended the season still very strong. So I think overall they brought back a lot of talent. They're going to be good. They'll have a deep playoff run, but I agree with you. I think the Packers, they're a little younger. They're on the up and up. You add Micah Parsons, but you have Jordan Love. You have a good core of offensive players. Now their defense is better. I think they said that they were one of the youngest teams in the NFL, which is, you know, I think good. You want to have a nice young team and not have to rely on older players who might get injured. So I think they're going to be a really solid team this year, and I think Jordan Love's going to continue to improve. I agree with you. The Vikings, I think they're going to drop off a little bit. They'll be good, but I just don't trust JJ McCarthy yet, and I guess that's crazy considering how well they did with Sam Darnold, who many people didn't believe in Sam Darnold except for you with his quick stint on the 49ers. But I agree. I think they're going to have to come down a little bit. It's just, I don't understand how, first off, I didn't really trust JJ McCarthy to begin with. And now coming off a major injury and not even be able to play last year, I think that's a concern. But I am actually a little high on the Bears this year. I think you said that the Lions losing their offensive coordinator could hurt them. Well, he's now the head coach for the Bears, and he's got a very, very similar offense to what he had with the Lions, with a lot of playmakers, a pretty dynamic quarterback. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Packers will win this division. I think the Lions and the Bears will both get wild card spots.
I can see that. I'm happy with that prediction. Here's the only thing I will say. This is the most confident I will be, I think, in any preseason statement. I think the Green Bay Packers are the only NFC team that could win the Super Bowl.
Okay. You don't think the Eagles, who won it last year in a blowout fashion, have a chance?
No.
Returning 10 out of 11 offensive starters.
No.
Tush push still legal.
No. And I think the reason why people should feel even more confident about this is because of the fact that I have consistently picked the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl in all of our predictions. So for me to say that the only NFC team that I have any faith in to win, and that does not mean, here's the thing is, I'm not necessarily saying I'm picking the Packers to be my Super Bowl representative, to be NFC champions. However, the only team I think can win the Super Bowl from the NFC is the Green Bay Packers.
Bold statement.
You got to make bold statements at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
That's the only reason people are here.
Yeah. But I do think the Bears will be the Commanders of last year. So they were 5-12 last year. I think they're going to bump up to a 10-win season this year. And I think they're going to be a lot better. Caleb Williams has a ton of talent around him. So I think they're going to be much improved this year. All right. Moving now, I saved this division for last, obviously, because it's Eddie's talking point here. It's the NFC West. The Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. How much are the 49ers going to win this division by, Eddie?
19 games? Is that possible? I mean, they went 6-11. I do think the San Francisco 49ers will win this division this year. I feel pretty confident in that fact. Obviously, the big question mark surrounding the Niners every season is how healthy do they stay? Does Brock Purdy see out a season? Does Christian McCaffrey see out a season? Does George Kittle see out a season? I'm going to vote yes on all three of those elements. I think Kittle is the least important of those. It's really, I think, Purdy and McCaffrey who determine where this ends up. I think the Niners go 12-5.
6-11 last year.
Yeah. They have a super easy schedule.
Easiest in the NFL, according to strength of schedule.
Yeah. Which I never know what the strength of schedule really means.
It's based off of last year.
No, but there's so much shift from one season to another that people make a big deal out of strength and schedule. And then turns out actually you have a horrific schedule midway through the season. Like you figure out that actually these are some tough opponents. I think they win this division. I think they are third or fourth seed in the NFC based on record, not obviously the divisional element. And yeah, I think this is a good year for the 49ers, but they don't have the talent.
Robert Saleh back. Are you excited about that?
Not really. And I don't think they have the talent to win the Super Bowl, as I made clear from my previous statement. But I think this is a major improvement from the Niners in terms of performance.
Well, Eddie, I'm going to go against you. And I do think the Niners will make the playoffs, but I have them in as my last wild card, despite them facing the easiest schedule. I'm just not sold still on that offense. I think they rely a little bit on McCaffrey and still has some question marks, and we'll have to see. Brock Purdy looked great at times and then didn't look so good depending on who is starting out there. So no Debo. Ayuk, I think, is already injured. So some questions there. Lost Dre Greenlaw. I think that's a huge loss on their defense. I think they'll make the playoffs. I just don't think they are going to win that division. I'm going a little bit of an outsider here. I think the Cardinals are going to win this division. They also have a relatively easy schedule, 5th easiest. They've stacked up on their defensive line. They have Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, drafted a first-round defensive end. They are going for the let's load up our front 4, front 7, and just try and rush the shit out of everyone, which has worked at times for defenses. When you look at the Eagles, when the Giants used to win their Super Bowls, Kyler Murray looked good last year, stayed relatively healthy. So if he can have some more success there, Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like an absolute freak show, put on 250 pounds of muscle in the offseason. McBride looked great as a tight end last year. I think they are going to be a much improved team, and I think they're going to squeak out against the Niners in the last week of the season to win this division.
If the Arizona Cardinals win this division, I will eat whatever you want me to eat.
Oh my God. How many times is he going to proclaim this on one podcast episode?
Whatever you want me to eat is up for grabs if the Arizona Cardinals win this division. I don't even think they're finishing second.
So you have the Seahawks, you said, finishing second in this division.
Yes. And I think the Cardinals will be, they went 8-9 last year. I'll bump them up to 10-8. But I don't trust
And that
Kyler
won't make
Murray.
playoffs?
Well, it might make the playoffs. Okay. But it isn't winning the division.
And so Seahawks finished 10-7 last year. That was Mike McDonald's first year coaching. They have almost every key player back. 13 of 16 defenders are still on the team that had over, I think, 300 snaps. Big change, though, for them is Geno Smith to Sam Darnold and DK Metcalf to Cooper Kupp. Is that upgrades or downgrades?
Downgrades, for sure.
What's the downgrade? Both?
Talent. Yeah, both of them.
So you would take Geno Smith over Sam Darnold?
I think in their system, yes. Because I do think Geno Smith, from a mobility perspective, made plays for the Seahawks that now you're not going to get out of Sam Darnold. As you know, I think Sam Darnold is a perfectly decent NFL quarterback, like a top 20 NFL quarterback in the current situation. But I think Geno Smith is probably slightly better than him and may suit that system better. And then on top of it, it's definitely DK Metcalf to Cooper Kupp is a major downgrade, or, vice versa. So I think that hurts them. You've removed the elite weapon that was available there.
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp is I think he's an afterthought at this point, realistically. The name is meaningful, but the actual output is not there. So, yeah, I think that hurts the Seahawks for sure. I think, and we like to obviously be critical of Bill Simmons at points, or my nemesis. I think we should just keep the same vein where we make preseason predictions for the NFL, and we don't have any regard for how our predictions line up against them. So we can pick it over for 4 teams in the division. It doesn't matter that they have to play each other. So in this one, I don't even know what it means if I think that 3 teams from the NFC, I think I might have 11 teams from the NFC making the playoffs. I think that's okay. Is it not?
Yeah, it's fine. As long as you hit on 7 of the 11.
Yeah, that's postseason claim. It's just like,
Yeah.
I knew the Cardinals would be good.
Well, and obviously the Rams, 10-7 last year, have, from most people's perspective, probably the second best chance of winning this division. So 32% chance, just below the Niners. I just can't. I don't know if I trust Stafford. I mean, he's already been.
He's missing week 1, right?
Yeah, missing week 1 and a back. When you're an old quarterback and you have back issues, that's just a red flag. I've never heard of a quarterback in their mid 30s with back issues that comes out firing and isn't struggling to make it through the season. And without Stafford, and he's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not a elite, he's a great quarterback, but without him, they are a severely worse team.
Yeah, I mean, again, it sounds so banal and like uninteresting to say, but there's not a lot of teams where if you just remove their starting quarterback, that doesn't impact the projections for their season. And already with Matthew Stafford, you're saying he's not playing week 1. I don't know. I'm not confident that he's going to play 13 of their games this season.
Yeah.
So let's say he plays 13. That feels optimistic. He's winning 10 of them. Like the Rams with Matthew Stafford are now an elite team, basically. And if they're not, then you're kind of penciling them in for 7 or 8 wins just based on the fact that Stafford is missing a couple of them.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a super competitive division along with the NFC North. I think they're both extremely competitive. And if there weren't division winners, you might see 7 out of the 8 teams make the playoffs come from these 2 divisions.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Or I should say 7 playoff teams come from these 8 teams in those 2 divisions. But okay, so wrapping up the NFC, who do you have winning the NFC?
I mean, I guess I kind of tipped my hand already, but I'm going to pick the Packers.
Oh boy. I'm also taking the Packers.
Well, we're in trouble then.
Bet the house on the Eagles.
Or anyone other than the Packers.
All right. Let's switch over to the AFC, which I guess, according to Eddie saying that the Packers are the only team that can win the Super Bowl, he must think very highly of the AFC. So let's start in the East like we did with the NFC, and we'll do the AFC East. That's the Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough to pick against anyone other than the Bills here. Like going kind of gets the idea, this idea that there's consistently teams that don't defend their divisional titles. But realistically, I think the Bills were by far and away the best team in this division. I think you can pick major holes in the Dolphins, major holes in the Jets. I think obviously the Patriots will improve, but I don't think they'll improve so much that they go from 4-13 to, the 13-4 the Bills were last season. So yeah, I'm expecting Josh Allen, the Bills, to be by far and away the best team in this division.
Yeah, I just don't think you can go against Josh Allen, reigning MVP, just super consistent. He has thrown for at least 40 or been involved in at least 40 touchdowns, so passing or rushing, in 5 straight seasons. That's the longest in NFL history. He now owns that record. Their offense will be great again. Their defense, they added Joey Bosa. I don't know how great Joey Bosa is anymore. He's been injured a lot and kind of in and out of NFL seasons, but at one time he was a pretty elite pass rusher on defense. So maybe that will help a little bit. But I agree, 13-4 last year. I think they'll be right around that again this year. I think it's a pretty solid bet that the Bills will win this division. And kind of other teams, I don't know who's second in this division by default. I don't know who's second in this division. Maybe by default it's the Patriots. Drake May had a good year last year. Is he going to have a sophomore slump or not? I don't know. Their roster though just is so weak. Like if they get injured, they are like they have no depth on their offense or defense due to some terrible drafting years by Bill Belichick has kind of screwed them in the depth chart a little bit. But
we get to be one of those podcasts that shits on Bill Belichick now. So
maybe I mean those
that's whatever.
Their draft picks weren't great.
No, yeah, sure. No, I mean I think the Patriots will be better. Vrabel is definitely obviously an improvement from a head coaching perspective, and you just think that another like Drake May going into his second year should be better than he was in his rookie year. So I expect improvement, but I think it's sort of popular to pick the Patriots as a sort of dark horse, but going from, let's just say they have significant improvement and they go from 4-13 to 10-7. I mean, like that's an incredible pickup from one year to the next, but you're still not challenging the Bills unless they have a huge drop off. And yeah, I think the Jets continue to be a mess. And the Dolphins, I mean, can you trust Tua to stay healthy for over 60% of the season? And if he isn't, then do they have any hope?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to make of the Dolphins. Like I can't even make a prediction because I have no idea where they're at mentally, physically. They are like a dumpster fire of chaos. So just off of that alone, I can't pick them to. They were 8-9 last year, have a pretty easy schedule, but I can't predict them to go over 500 and make the playoffs. The Jets, again, I agree with you. Justin Fields is probably not going to be the answer. I don't think they go over 500. I really don't think the Patriots would go over 500 if it weren't for the fact that they have to play the Dolphins and the Jets, and they might pick up 4 wins right there. But this could be a division where you have the Bills and everyone else below 500.
Well, I think this is the point you just made is the strongest case for why the Bills will probably be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Is just
6 wins in the division.
Let's even say 5. Like let's say the Patriots can win at home. You think then the big rival in the AFC being the Ravens face such a tougher division where it's easy to pick up like the possibility of them losing 1 or 2 divisional games, and the Bills just get this sort of cakewalk for the most part in their division. And how nice is that for them that they just get to pencil in 4 wins, even if you're being pessimistic from the divisional games, like for Josh Allen and the rest of them. It's super nice.
So both have the Bills and neither of the other teams going.
I don't think so. I think it's just the Bills.
Let's go to the AFC South because that's probably the least fun division we have left. That is the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, and the Titans. The Texans have won this division several years now, mostly by attrition and being the last team standing here. I don't know if the other teams have caught up enough to give the Texans a run. I'm going to say the Texans win this division again.
I think people are kind of sleeping on the Texans. Like I think the sophomore slump of CJ Stroud last year has people feeling like the Texans are worse than they are. And they were 10-7. I think they're going to get to like 12 wins this year. I think the Colts are going to be terrible. They basically don't have a quarterback at this point. So, they won 8 games.
Daniel Jones.
I don't think they're winning 8 games this year. I think the Jags are undoubtedly going to be better than the 4-13 they were last year. The Titans are undoubtedly going to be better than the 3-14 they were, but not significantly better. Maybe we get the Titans to 5 wins this time. But, I think the Texans are going to get to the 11-12 win mark. And not only are they, they're hosting a home playoff game and they're winning this division.
Yeah. So, we just discussed how the Bills will get a ton of wins just within their division. The Texans last year went 5-1 inside their division. I can see that happening again. So you're already halfway to a 500 record. I just think, I agree with you. I think the sophomore slump will be over, and CJ Stroud in press conferences seems like he has a little bit to prove. I think he heard the criticism that they slumped a little bit last year, and now he's going to come back a little stronger. Their defense, their DNs, Hunter and Anderson, had 23 sacks last year. They probably will get more combined this year as they mature a little bit and get a little older. I agree. I think the Texans are the standout here. The Jags, is this Trevor Lawrence's year? What do you think, Eddie?
I mean, is it his year? As in, is it better than previous years? Maybe. But I just can't trust Trevor Lawrence at this point. Maybe he proves us. Again, this is his opportunity to show that the potential we expected him to have coming into the NFL is actually legitimate. But to have confidence in him prior to him showing us that level of talent is crazy. Like he was awful last year. He was pretty awful the year before. I don't think you can have any expectation that the Jags are going to be okay. I think they'll be better than 4-13. I think they'll get to 7 wins, 8 wins, but expecting an 8-win improvement from them, but that to me feels unrealistic. And I don't think that Travis Hunter is going to be such a difference maker for them.
No, I don't think so either. I am not out on Travis Hunter, but I think he's going to be a much better college player than he will be in the pros. And, I could be completely wrong, and then the last two teams, like you said, Titans and the Colts, I think we can easily just say have little to zero chance. So not really worth discussing. I think they might battle it out for the worst team in the NFL. So both of us have Texans to win, and neither of us have another team advancing to the playoffs. All right, let's go into the AFC North, and that is the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. Shall we start by saying the Browns have no chance?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't think the Browns have a good chance, but I think it's a tough thing with Joe Flacco he's just kind of consistently feisty and inconsistent. And we've seen, we're only 2 years removed from a version of this team not only being a playoff contender, but making the playoffs and being a reasonably heavy favorite in that first round of the playoffs. And so, given the inconsistency that we see from the Bengals, am I going to say that the Browns have no chance? No. Do I think the Browns will probably finish with 3 wins? Yes.
Well, they finished 3-14 last year. Can I give you a great Joe Flacco stat, Eddie? He has not played an entire season since 2017.
Does he need to?
8 years. Yes. At his age, yes, he needs to.
No, but does he need to?
Their backups are nobody.
They have 19 quarterbacks. They don't need him to play the entire season.
So who do you have winning this division?
I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. I think the Ravens are the second best team. I think it's unfortunate they're playing each other week 1 because whatever happens, people will read too much into it. But I think the Ravens, either the Ravens or the Bills, are winning the Super Bowl. And so I expect the Ravens to win this division.
Yeah, I also picked the Ravens to win this division. I mentioned it earlier, but Lamar Jackson as a starter is 70-24. That's almost 13 wins per season. That's pretty phenomenal. You can say what you want to say with him in the postseason, but in the regular season, he is dominant. In the 5 seasons in which he didn't get injured at the end of the season, he's won 4 out of the 5 division titles. The only one they lost by 1 game. So if he's playing and he's starting, he is dominant. And I think with him and Henry, just like we saw last year, they are just going to be a force on offense. And I don't think that's going to be able to be stopped. So I think they will win this division. How do you feel about the other 2 teams?
I mean, I think we'll see something of more of the same from the Steelers. any long-term listener of the podcast will know we're not big Aaron Rodgers fans at this stage of his career. And we did our game by game prediction for the Steelers. I think they'll get to 8 wins. They'll be okay. I think the Bengals will obviously improve. I think the Bengals will make the playoffs. They have so many offensive weapons, but at the same time, their offensive line, which they are investing in, still does struggle to protect Joe Burrow. And defensively, it just feels like they have to be in a shootout week in, week out, and that it's hard to win consistently when you need to score 30 plus points to win games. So I think the Bengals make the playoffs. I think the Bengals finish second in the division this time around, but I don't think they seriously threaten the Ravens in terms of winning the division itself.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the Bengals will finish second. I think they will make the playoffs. They finished 9-8 last year with just an utterly horrific defensive effort week in and week out. And also getting unlucky in a few games as well, that they probably should have had 1 or 2 more wins. So when you put that together and you just think their defense can't possibly be that bad again, will it be good? No. But will it be as horrendous as it was? No.
Yes.
And I think just that little boost puts them to 10 wins, and 10 wins makes the playoffs. And I agree, their offense is just, Jamar Chase and Burrow is just a great combo. The Steelers, you know me, I'm a huge Steelers fan, supporter, lover of the Steelers. They will not make the playoffs this year. It can't happen. You have Rodgers, you have Metcalf, but not only do I not want to see the Steelers make the playoffs, I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers succeed. So it's like a double whammy where now I'm all in against the Steelers week in and week out. So be prepared for even more than before.
It is a tough one for me because I did kind of enjoy hoping for the Steelers to succeed just to annoy you, but I do dislike Aaron Rodgers enough that I kind of have to join the anti-Steelers bandwagon at this stage.
So we both have in this one the Ravens winning and the Bengals making the playoffs. Do you have another team making the playoffs from this one? It would be the Steelers.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Steelers making the playoffs. Terrible pick. All right. AFC West.
Because in this division, I have the Denver Broncos winning this division, and I have the Kansas City Chiefs missing the playoffs.
Wow. I've never heard a worse prediction in my life. So the AFC West, the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. This is the division where, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl for, I think, what was like the 9th time in a row. Eddie, you think this reign is over? You think that was the beginning of the end?
I do, yeah. I think realistically, we saw the Emperor had no clothes in the Super Bowl. They were embarrassed. They were humiliated. I'm not sure how good Patrick Mahomes really is at this point. This was a theme.
My God.
This was a theme of my
God.
This was a theme of my predictions for all of last season, and I need to double down now because they finally came true in the Super Bowl itself. So I built my entire personality last year over the idea that eventually the Chiefs would be humiliated, and they were in the Super Bowl.
Oh boy. They only made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What a
But then got embarrassed. And so now I don't even think the Chiefs make the playoffs. The Broncos win this division. I wish the Chargers, there's the downside of the Slater injury, which kind of hurts how you feel about them, especially you're losing a tackle in a team that's going to be run heavy just because of Harbaugh's mentality. And if you'd had like a healthy Slater and a healthy Alt, then you would have felt like this could just be a team that could have run all over people and, felt really, really good about that. But still, You're looking at a division where the Chargers went 11-6 last year. The Broncos went 10-7 last year. The Chiefs somehow went 15-2. I think the Chiefs are dropping to
wait. Let's make sure we say 15-2, and one of their losses was week 18 when it didn't start anybody.
Yeah, the Chiefs are dropping to 10 wins this year.
Okay, and missing the playoffs.
Yeah, the Broncos are upping themselves to 13 wins. Chargers are probably holding steady because I need them to. If the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs.
So you have the Broncos winning this division and then the Chargers making the playoffs over the Chiefs.
Yes.
Okay. So the Broncos last year had a tremendous breakout year. Bo Nix played great. They were what you said, 10-7, I believe, right?
Yes.
They were 1-7 versus teams with a winning record before they beat the Chiefs to make the playoffs in week 18.
Efficient.
So great against teams with winning record. They went 1-6 in games decided by 7 points or fewer. Do you know who went 10-0 in one-score games, Eddie? The Kansas City Chiefs. Because they know how to win. You know what they did in 2023 in one-score games? 9-0. They are 19-0 in the last 2 seasons in one-score games because they know how to fucking win.
Don't make me go further. Don't make me go further.
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are winners, Eddie, and they will win again, and they will 100% make the playoffs.
Kansas City Chiefs missed the playoffs this season. 2 years from now, we're having a conversation about who the next Kansas City Chiefs quarterback is. Mahomes is he's on a downward spiral that he cannot
Mahomes
get out of.
Supposedly looked excellent in camp this year. Talk of the Chiefs camp is that he looked back to his form 3 years ago when he was unstoppable.
Look, Mahomes often shows up for preseason looking like me physically, so maybe he just put slightly more effort in. Like there's, Travis Kelce's too busy planning his wedding. Who else do they really have from an offensive weapon standpoint? It's the beginning of the end.
Okay.
They got exposed. They have 2 Super Bowls too many based on how they've played out anyway. And this is it. It's over.
I love this hate you have. This is worse than the Steelers. At least the Steelers are actually a legitimately shitty team.
It's not a hate. It's a fundamental belief that came true in the Super Bowl. And legitimately, I think this team is done. It's done.
I also have the Chargers making the playoffs. I think Herbert made the playoffs last year, 11-6.
Yeah, you have to say that.
I think they'll make the playoffs again this year. I think they'll be right around that same 11-6 record. I think the Broncos will drop a little, but I also think they will make the playoffs. So they were 10-7 last year. They might squeeze in with a 9-8 just because I think the AFC at the bottom is not as strong. I don't, I gave those numbers. They weren't very good against good teams, and it kind of showed. But they do beat the teams that they need to beat, and that'll be enough, I think, to put them into the playoffs. So I have both the Chargers and the Broncos making the playoffs from this division, and the Chiefs winning.
I mean, I have the Chargers and the Broncos too. They just have the Chiefs not making the playoffs.
And then the Raiders. People are little chatter about the Raiders. I just don't think they have enough talent. But there's a little chatter about the Raiders making a run.
I mean, they went 4-13. I think they'll improve slightly just to deny the Chiefs their playoff spot. But other than that, I don't think they're going to be particularly good.
So Pete Carroll isn't going to be a big enough help? And Geno Smith?
I think they'll be feistier. But no, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference maker.
And Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, because his NFL career's gone super well.
Okay, so I have the Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, the exact AFC division winners as last year. And then I have the Broncos, Bengals, and Chargers, 2 out of the 3 of the same in the wild card.
So I have the same divisional winners as last year, aside from I have the Broncos winning the division. And I have the Chiefs not even featuring this year.
And then, so who do you have winning the AFC?
The Bills.
I also have the Bills. So you have Bills, Packers. Who wins?
Bills.
Oh boy. I also have the Bills over the Packers. That is the Big Chill Podcast Bet MGM special.
Yes, yeah, if that's a thing, yeah.
We'll see if BetMGM will host that special for us. Boost it from, I can actually tell you what the odds of that will be. Okay, so if you want the exact outcome of the Buffalo Bills to beat the Green Bay Packers, that is 50 to 1. Maybe we can get that boosted to 100 to 1.
Well, we can just do the typical podcast thing and claim that we have, which is, let's call it 100 to 1, just so that then afterwards we can say we tipped it. Or we can do not to shit on some people who may or may not have been guests on the podcast, we flirt with the idea of discussing it, and therefore when it happens, we get to claim that we were successful in it. So maybe throw out, can we also discuss Ravens, Lions, just so that we said we did, and therefore when it happens, we discussed it?
Do you want the Ravens over the Lions?
Yes, please.
Okay. The Ravens over the Lions, also 50 to 1.
Well, there we go. 250 to 1 tips. What a podcast.
One of those two has to come out.
Has to. Has to. That's why they're 50 to 1.
Yep. Who wins the MVP this year?
Josh Allen.
Back to back.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
It's kind of hard to be picking the Bills to win the Super Bowl and not be picking Josh Allen to win MVP.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid bet. So Mahomes is no longer favored for the first year in a very long time.
Can you win the MVP without making the playoffs? Does it happen very often? I can get everything else wrong this year in every prediction I make, in every sport that we cover. But if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, it's going to be my defining prediction.
So,
and you know Lamar, what I think?
Go ahead.
Here's the thing is, just to be clear, is that this is a problem with any sort of talking head prediction type of scenario, where if the Chiefs do make the playoffs, I just ignore the fact that I said that they wouldn't make it. It was a bold...
I won't ignore it.
No, you won't, but that's fine. We'll move on quickly. But this is the problem with any first take sort of, approach to things. I will just ignore the fact that I made a somewhat risky bet on the Chiefs not being there. But if they don't make the playoffs, it's the reason why I'm a genius.
Getting back to the MVP odds, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are both 5 to 1, Mahomes 6 to 1, Burrow 6 to 1, Jaden Daniels 10 to 1. Jordan Love, if you think the Packers will do good, is 16 to 1. That's not a terrible bet.
16 to 1 on Love, considering that I think the Packers win the NFC, is a smart bet. I also have to say, I think early season MVP betting usually doesn't make sense. However, it makes sense to bet on Josh Allen to win the MVP right now, given the fact that, and again, tipping my hand for our next episode, but I expect the Bills to beat the Ravens. And so I think you instantly see Josh Allen go from 5 to 1 to 4 to 1. And, inversely see Lamar Jackson go from 5 to 1 to probably not 6 to 1, but certainly bigger than 5 to 1.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. My only other bet is I think Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year. He probably would have won it last year if he didn't get hurt. I think that's currently like 6 or 7 to 1 right now. He looked dominant when he was playing last year, so I might put a little bit on that just as a nice little future to bet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got Comeback Player of the Year. Do you have the opposite of Comeback Player of the Year? Can I bet on Patrick Mahomes from that?
You can bet on Patrick Mahomes to you can do like over interceptions.
Oh, over everything, under everything. What are my options here?
All right. So anything else with the our NFL season preview?
I don't think so. I think we'll get onto some more individual team details when we do our week 1 team by team prediction. But no, I think for the most part, my strongest thoughts have come out over the course of this discussion.
Good. Yeah. And then, so we will go ahead.
Well, I think listeners should be most surprised by how pessimistic I am about the 49ers. I think that's the most revealing thing about what we've spoken about so far. That's why they should have more faith
you have
in
a
my
6-win
Chiefs
team making the playoffs, so
winning the division.
Winning the division, yeah.
Probably making the NFC Championship game. But, other than that, disappointing season.
Oh, okay. Disappointing. Going from 6 wins to the NFC Championship.
It's Bills 49ers in the NFC Championship game. That's not Bills 49ers. It's Packers 49ers in the NFC Championship games. It's Ravens Bills in the AFC Championship game. It's Chiefs against, I don't know, whoever in some random game played in Sao Paulo in February, and we'll all love it.
A lot of Chiefs hatred going on right now.
I did love, I was on the BBC website the other day.
They're going to say I was on the BBC. I was on the BBC morning show the other day.
Just talking about how much the Chiefs suck. But literally one of the headlines was, what will Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding look like? What a stunning headline from what's supposed to be a leading international news media provider. Just pure speculation about what their wedding will look like.
I don't have any issues that it gets discussed a lot or that she gets shown at games. Like, of course, like whatever, she's going to get shown at games. That's fine. But the speculative, dumb, non-information type headlines like that, that's what gets to me, and that's what becomes annoying. Like, I don't care if she's shown 12 times in the AFC Championship game. Like, whatever. Like, she's a famous celebrity. She's now engaged to one of the major players. Like, you saw Mahomes' wife all the time, too. Like, that's whatever. It is what it is. But, like, I don't need them having a whole segment on, like, what does Taylor Swift think the 3rd down and 7 play should be? Like, that I don't need.
Agreed. Like, anyone who gets annoyed that she gets shown, because the way our media has trended, right? We have no mainstream anymore. This is the key to Taylor Swift's success is that she might be the only mainstream pop star left. And so by default, we kind of all have to like her because there's no alternative to her. Like, the most mainstream alternative is, I don't know, Dua Lipa. But then
hell yeah.
Most people, the vast majority of people, realistically speaking, do not really know who Dua Lipa is.
Let's get more Dua Lipa on screen. You know why no one knows who Dua Lipa is, Eddie? Because if you put her in a random bar on a Friday night, no one would even recognize her.
Wouldn't pick her out.
She wouldn't even be top 20 attractive people in there, right?
No, for sure. But
that is satire, by the way, people. I do not agree with that statement.
Well, I mean, she's infinitely more attractive than Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift just benefits. She's the only mainstream pop star left. And so everyone feels like they have to have an opinion on her, which is the interesting thing, is most musicians left now, we don't, like Coldplay, people have an opinion on. You either hate them.
Unfairly.
Most people hate them. Yeah. But like most bands, most pop artists, we're just sort of, you either love them or you're just completely indifferent to, which I think is where Dua Lipa falls. Most people would say you have the passionate fans, and you're like, yeah, there's a couple decent songs there. And other than that, I got no opinion on Dua Lipa as a person.
There's not many people who just adamantly hate Dua Lipa.
Yeah. And kind of being hated it's a badge of honor. It's a sign that you're super popular because people have to hate you because you're popular.
Have to be divisive.
And Taylor Swift is the only person we have in that category now. So yeah, it's kind of annoying that you turn on the Nebraska, who are they playing? Game at Arrowhead. Yeah, and she's sitting there with Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce, and you kind of have to have that conversation about them. It's a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, of course, because she's one of the most famous people on earth, and he's one of the most recognizable.
At a college Nebraska-Cincinnati game.
Yeah, at a game that otherwise is completely unnoteworthy. So yeah, of course you have to speak about them. And they want people to speak about them. That's why they want them at that game. Like it's not as if Nebraska and Cincinnati didn't want Taylor Swift in attendance. They 100% did, because that was going to get the thing that gets people to talk about that game. But people treat them as if, oh my God, why is Taylor Swift even there? It's like they desperately begged her to be in attendance. Like, they were hoping, the game's being played at Arrowhead. Please come, Travis
And Kelsey's from Cincinnati.
Yeah. Please, you have to come, and you have to bring Taylor Swift with you. Please. That's their only two talking points were, hey, that one quarterback for Nebraska kind of performs a
Dylan
bit
Raiola.
like
he's a clone of Mahomes.
Yeah. And then also Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are here. That's the only thing that was notable about that game.
All right. Now that we've discussed the Cincinnati Nebraska game, I think it's time to call it a night.
Yeah. That's probably a sign that we've exhausted all NFL topics.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Well,
cheerio.
You stole my line.